Man, let's see if we fix this thing. Oh yeah, mine feels good. Nice and cold. Let's try this out. Try that, boys.
Bubble. That's more like it. That feels good.
Yeah. Successful. Okay, we're gonna start off by removing the speaker box if you have one. We're also gonna remove the third row seats in the rear. We need to lower this seat up in the front to get access. Then we're gonna remove this lower plastic piece. It's just clips that pop off real easy. We're gonna do the same thing with the top. Just going to pull that down. Reposition the camera. I'm gonna unscrew this. This is just a little plastic piece that unscrews real easy. This just pops out. It's a little push pin. Let's move over to the front. Right here, I notice there's a 7mm. Need to remove that. It's just a little screw. Then we need to remove this piece. Well, actually, we just need to loosen it and just kind of lean it out of the way. You want to pull those towards you. Just leave it there out of the way. Then we need to remove this rear piece. If you just pull towards you, pop the clips just pop right out. That's a Bose speaker, so you have to unplug that if you have it. Right here, you just unplug it. There's clips right underneath the window. It just kind of pops out. Remove the cigarette lighter cable if it has one. Now this is just the little heat shield for the heater core. These are Phillips screws. Unplug the actuator. This is the actuator that actually has the problem, that's broken. You'll notice that I'll point at it. There's a little hole there. There's not supposed to be right there. And that's the actual problem. The truck was still warm, so those pipes are still pretty hot. I'm going to remove this little ground clip. Now right here I'm just trying to figure out everything I need to remove. I've never done this before, so bear with me. I'm just trying to show as much as I can on the video to help somebody out. Just unplug the blower motor. I kind of popped this off right here. I thought I broke it. It's just a little clip though. I figured it out. If you just press a little tab in the back, it actually just slides out. Just a little trial and error. Continue to unplug, unwrap this underneath this little metal tab. Unplug that little hose. Now this, I'm not sure, this is like a sensor or something. You can actually take it off completely. I'm just trying to figure out this wiring, so I kind of untuck and lean it to the side. Now right here I'm removing the blower motor, and there's a bunch of these little silver screws. Are all the same size, just a Phillips, pops right out. Then up towards the top there's one screw here, just for the harness. I'm going to move to the front. Get at this actuator at the front. That's for the it either changes it from the feet or to the overhead. That one was still good. Right here, there's a little sensor in here or something. So you just need a little tool or something to kind of pry up the tab, pop that loose. Pop the actuator out. That one's still good, so that's why it's really tight. I pulled that clip off, but I really didn't need to. I'll understand later. When I look at the new part, I should have already looked at it. I'm also looking at a screw right here. I noticed that my impact can't get in there. So I'll go and grab a Phillips screwdriver. But later I figure out I don't really need to remove this screw once I really take a good look at the new part. So I end up putting that stuff back later. Now we're here, we're just going to remove basically it's the brain of tells the actuators what to do. It's just two little 7mm bolts or screws. Pop that off. Untuck this around the back. And just unplug this. They're color coded, red and gray. So no reason to worry about where they go. Now right here's another 7mm. These screws are a bit longer, so I'll kind of hold them up together. But they're the same as the the little black box, just a little longer. So you want to make sure to put the longer ones back here when you go to put everything back. Take a little time here, remove these. Now I'm just trying to figure out how to get the rest of this off. Of course, I said these pipes are still warm, so you want to be careful. Probably wait for the vehicle to completely cool down. Mine's still a little warm, so I'm just being careful. Right here, I look underneath the vehicle where the pipes go through just to make sure I got enough wiggle room. You want to be careful though, these pipes are aluminum. You don't want to break them. Just kind of set it to the side. Pull these little clips off, they just kind of pop on. There's 3 in the front and there's 3 in the back. So right here, I'm just trying to figure out how to get or what needs to be taken out. So I grabbed the new part, kind of look at it, and then I realized, oh, I didn't have to take those top ones off. You can see there's 3 in the front, 3 in the back. There's actually a little screw down there that I find later on. Kind of reach my hand through here. Get those back ones off. Kind of had a fight with it a little bit. Being a little bit of a PETA. I went to grab like a screwdriver, a couple of screwdrivers to assist me to get those back ones off. That's actually probably the hardest part of the whole job, is getting those 3 rear clips. Getting them off and basically just putting them back on once you replace the part. So I'm looking in the back. I have to pop that back one out. Much easier to get that back one off than to put back on. At first I couldn't figure out why I couldn't get that off, but then I realized, oh, there's a little screw that goes right here. It's pretty small though. Take a little wrench. I think it's a 6 or 7mm. Unscrew it. Now we're gonna pop the new part in. Just kind of go in reverse order now. Just wiggle it in there. Make sure it goes up into the top duct in the front. Just kind of lines up. Pop the heater core back in. I'm gonna pop these little clips back on. course, the front ones are really simple. I'm just going to get those back ones in. The rear one in the back is pretty simple. You just kind of got to go in.
You've got mail.
Oop. Don't mind my email. And then you got to get the other clip in the middle, and then the one in the front. These are pretty difficult. You definitely got to feel around to get those lined up. It's kind of a pain. Just take your time. You'll get it. But as you can see, it is kind of a pain. I kind of fumble around with that front one in the back. And actually I'm looking for that clip right now. I ended up finding it right here. So I couldn't really get my hand back there for that front one. Tell you honestly, I ended up just not putting that clip back in. I could not get anywhere to fit my hand back there. So I decided, well, if I put this little screw in the front, it'll basically lock that thing closed. So in the end, it really didn't make a big difference. Didn't make any difference really at all. Now this little screw, it's short, and you kind of got to get it in there with your fingers. And if I had a ratcheting box end wrench, that would have been great, but I didn't have one that size. So I kind of had to just start it with my fingers. Then I just used a wrench to kind of turn it in. Just take your time with this one also. It's not very long, so you only have to go a few turns. Once you get it, it basically tightens that thing down pretty good. And especially if you don't do that rear clip like I didn't, definitely want to make sure to get that thing tight. That'll seal everything up real nice. Now that's all in there. So basically from here, you're just gonna kind of go in reverse of how we took everything off. Just want to put everything back properly. So we're gonna zip this back in. Put the blower motor in. It has a hose, so there's really no way to get that wrong. Put these 3 screws in. Really a pretty easy job. Just kind of reroute all the wiring. Back the way it was. Get this top screws back started for that actually mounted to the truck. These are a little bit longer, 7mm. It's just 2 of them. Just kind of wiggle them in there, get them lined up, tighten them down. Of course, my 2 older boys show up. They want to get in and out on the action, of course. Let's get these nice and tight. Just kind of looking things over, trying to remember where everything went. But like I said, everything kind of just plugs into place. It's kind of Murphy proof. Oh, got me a nice cold drink. That always helps. It was a little warm out that day. Plug the blower motor in. Plug that rear sensor in. Kind of reroute everything back the way it was. Put the little brain back in. Those are those other 7mm black screws. They're a little bit smaller. Those go right in there. That little thing controls the actuators, basically telling them how much to open and close. And like I said, these are actually marked on that white sticker. It says red and gray. So there's really no messing that up. Kind of look at things over, put this ground back on. Got to slap this actuator back in. Now, a little bit later in the video, I'm gonna show you a little more on that actuator. That's kind of a little funky little way of putting that back on. But first, we have to take this off the old one and stick it on the new one. Just kind of gotta get these little tabs pry up on them. It'll pop off eventually. Once you get them all loose, set that to the side. Then you're gonna pop this on up on the front. It's got that little sensor in there. Plug that in. Then right here, I realize, well, I gotta take that actuator back off, even though I just figured out how to get those actuators on. So to put this heater core shield back on, you gotta have that rear actuator off. Tighten that back down. Now here's the tricky part. I kept pulling the fuse so they would reset, but I did figure out if you just disconnect that red cable or the red plug from that brain box, they actually will reset, which makes it much easier to do this from the rear. You can basically just have the truck running and pull that. I was actually figuring that out at this moment right here. So I pulled that out, and I was trying to figure out how to line this up, because you can manually turn that vent in there, and it is kind of a pain. But once you figure out that if you pull that plug and then plug it back in, how it resets, then it kind of makes it easy to just line it up and plug it in, and then as it's turning, pop it in when it lines up. So you'll see me do that here in a second, and it'll just pop right in, bam, just like that. So I'll get the screw in there, zip that one down, get the other two screws in, pop it in. Now I will tell you, you're gonna, after you get all done with this completely, you're gonna want to probably pull that fuse in the front. It's for the HVAC. It's underneath the hood, or you can just unplug that right there and let everything reset, and then plug it back in before you start putting these panels back on. But right here, then we just got to basically pop everything back in. Pretty simple. Got to line everything up. You'll see where the clips are. Pop those top ones in. Reach around to the front, just kind of pop those in. But anyways, I hope I helped somebody out in this video. This really helps the kids in the back, and everybody have a good day. Peace.